Good evening and welcome to Monday Night Politics, presented by the Dallas Examiner. My name is Molly Finch Belt and I am publisher of the Dallas Examiner. We have sponsored Monday Night Politics for over 12 years consecutively before elections. The Dallas Examiner does not endorse candidates. We believe that in educating our community so that when people go to the polls to vote, they are informed voters. We couldn't do Monday Night Politics without our sponsors. We have many nonprofit organizations that sponsor Monday Night Politics, and they don't endorse candidates either. We have two people who work with Monday Night Politics, and they have worked with us consecutively for all 12 years. And that is Robin Jimenez, who we call these people the behind-the-scenes people. Robin Jimenez, Vice President of Production and Editorial for the Dallas Examiner, and Christy Thomas, who is the Community Advisor. I am really excited tonight because for this series of forums, we have as a moderator Charles O'Neill. Charles is currently president of the Texas Association of African American Chambers of Commerce for the state of Texas. And Charles was the first editor of the Dallas Examiner newspaper. Charles.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much, Ms. Bell, and welcome to this session of Monday Night Politics. We have an interesting slate of races this week. We have Dallas County Criminal District Attorney, Dallas County Judge, Dallas County Clerk, and Dallas County District Clerk. And I say it's interesting because, as Ms. Belt said, the whole idea about Monday Night Politics was to make sure that both the readers of the Examiner and the community at large were not only aware of the candidates themselves, but to become familiar with the way government works and have to have some familiarity with the very roles that are being represented here in this forum. And so without further ado, tonight our first race that we want to highlight is for Dallas County Criminal District Attorney. We have tonight with us incumbent District Attorney John Creuzot, and we do expect his opponent shortly. One of the things that I'd like for you to start out with, Ms. Creuzot, besides your opening statement, which is typical in a forum like this, but also give some background to just what the district attorney does. Okay? And so without further ado, District Attorney John Creuzot.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for everyone. Thank you, Ms. Belt, and everyone for putting this on, and thank you for allowing me to be here. And am I speaking okay, sir, into the microphone? Okay, the Dallas County District Attorney's Office is a 500-employee office. It's a $55 million budget, and we intake about 53,000 criminal cases a year. We have a civil section, a federal section, a juvenile section, et cetera. We have many sections. My job is to oversee all of that. My job as the district attorney coming into office is predicated upon promises I've made and kept to the community. Number one, we know that there's racial disparity in policing, there's mass incarceration, there's incarceration of the homeless and the mentally ill, vulnerable populations. We put in place within 90 days of being in office, we addressed all of those. We have said and maintained that we will not prosecute first-time misdemeanor marijuana offenders with the exception of a few things. We've put that in place. It's been successful. SMU has followed it. There are academic reports on it showing the success of it. It has changed the behavior of law enforcement agencies in the city of Dallas, in Dallas County. The city of Dallas, the police chief, the new police chief said we're no longer arresting 2 ounces or less. Other communities in this North Texas region have done the same. We don't criminalize poverty. We don't criminalize homelessness and mental illness. We're in the process of developing multi-million-dollar facilities that instead of being arrested, people are taken to those facilities for care, for food. They're Parkland level facilities, and we are busy in the process of developing that. The bottom line is the promises that I made to this community to deal with mass incarceration, I've met those promises, and we continue to work on other areas of concern for this community. My time is up.
But Judge Crusoe,
Yes, I'm sorry.
you clearly been credited, you highlighted some of them, you've been credited with some substantial reforms in the way criminal justice is delivered in our county. Without, I might say, drawing some criticism for some of the things that you've done.
Sure.
What do you think needs to be done next to kind of even out the way justice is delivered in our county?
I think mass supervision is something that we have turned to in the last year. Let's talk about that. That's people who are on probation. Not everybody needs that 2 years of probation. We have many people who come into our system who don't need probation. They don't need to be on that. And so what they do is they get caught up in the system, and the possibility of going to jail or going to prison is always over their head. And so we're developing a process in the district attorney's office in conjunction with Dallas County. Commissioner Price has been very helpful, where we have hired assessors. And what we're doing is screening, first time especially, nonviolent felony cases, the ones that would usually get 2 years of probation. We're working on a process where they can be in a program probably 3, 4, 5 months. If they're doing well, don't need any more, they're eligible for an expunction, they'll be let go. The other thing we're doing is looking at our juvenile section in the major counties in the state of Texas. If you look at state data, we're kind of dead last on dispositions and handling of our juveniles. We are entering into a contract with Prairie View A&M. Most people don't know they have a juvenile justice center there. It's a PhD level center, and we're happy to contract with them to come in and study, and we look forward to that being approved by the juvenile board. We want to improve our outcomes and results for our juveniles, and so those are two of the things I can talk about very quickly within the time frame.
We also just have seems to me, a tremendous backlog of adjudication of cases. We've got, the jails are packed.
Somewhat.
Somewhat. So how do we get to a point that we can streamline that, we don't warehouse people in the system?
Okay, well, let's talk about the jail. First of all, the Dallas County Jail maximum capacity is 7,000 people. Today, we're at 5,600, and we fluctuate. When we started the pandemic, we were at 5,900. We got it down to 5,300 at one point, so we have a problem. Grand juries are not able to process cases like they used to because of the pandemic. In fact, last week we had an entire grand jury out because one or more people were ill or had been in close contact with somebody they weren't able to meet. The other thing is that we haven't had trials, and courts haven't met in the same manner and consistency to which they met prior to the pandemic. All of these things are causing a backlog of cases. Fortunately, the backlog in jail, as far as jail is concerned, is not too bad. Between 7,000 and 5,600, some of the other larger counties are bursting at the seams. We're in much better condition than that. However, we're trying to get back to a sense of normalcy, but when the pandemic keeps spiking up and going down, it's difficult to do that. Commissioner Price is going to issue a report later this week, his ideas of what's causing this. I would encourage everyone to follow that. We have been cooperating with our county clerk, that is here, our district clerk, our judges, the county. We've done everything we can in the DA's office to meet the statewide metrics for dispositions so that we don't lose funding opportunities. So yes, there's a problem. It's mostly pandemic related, but we are working collaboratively to resolve those problems.
Very good. Judge?
Let me wipe this off.
Okay. And we have been joined by the second candidate, Judge Elizabeth Frizzell. Yeah, and Judge, the format is 2 minutes for an opening statement?
2 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to stay within my time. I'm Judge Elizabeth Davis Frizzell. I'm running for Dallas County District Attorney. I know you guys know me. I ran in 2018, came very close, got 49.999% of the vote. Lost by 589 votes. I'm back. I'm here again. I'm hoping I won't lose by a little bit. I want to win by a lot. You guys know I have been practicing criminal law for 29 years. And I've been a judge for 20 of those years on every level other than the Court of Appeals level. But I'm here running because I care about you, because I know Dallas County needs the best DA that they can have. I applaud some of the policies that the current DA has. I think we can do better. I want to improve on some of those policies. Today, I'm hoping I'll be able to share with you some of the things I want to improve on, some of the things I think that are going well that we should continue. We can have the best Dallas County that we can have. Better DA for better Dallas. We can have excellence in the DA's office. We can excel with Judge Elizabeth Frizzell. Thank you so much.
And you can stay there for the next
I can
question.
stay here? Okay,
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
here. I'm here.
Well, you gave me the perfect lead.
All right,
You said that
very
there are
good.
some things that you would like to improve on.
Yes.
Kind of walk us through where you think we can improve on in the Dallas
Okay.
County District Attorney's Office.
I'm assuming I have 2 minutes again?
Yeah.
Okay, I see the clock. All right, I'll stay within my time limit. I do applaud DA Crusoe's effort to make sure we decriminalize the homeless. I think that's a laudable goal. I just would like to improve on the way the policy is set up. Right now, the policy that the current DA's office has to decriminalize the homeless is not prosecuting theft cases under the value of $750. But what has happened since he took office is that when some of the cashiers and clerks at stores call the police will not respond. Because in the past, they have responded, they sent the case to the DA's office, but they won't prosecute. So you have so many small businesses, so many large businesses, Sam's, Walmart. I've talked to so many mom and pop shops that have called the police and they won't come out because they feel like it's a waste of their time. They'll make the report, send it to the DA's office, and they won't prosecute. What I want to do as your next Dallas County District Attorney is make sure I have a policy to document who it is that is committing these offenses, to make sure it's really just a first-time offense. So if it's the first time, we can give them a second chance. But for repeat offenders, we do not need repeat offenders continuing to commit theft offenses from someone's home, from someone's business, and we want to help them. How can I help the homeless if I don't know who they are? I want to start a policy so we can begin Dallas County's homeless diversion program. So we can identify who is homeless, what they need, partner with the city of Dallas to give them jobs, job training, to get them homes if that's what they need. If they need mental health help, anything that they need, we need to help them, not just avoid the fact that they're committing this offense.
One more question, and then I'll let you pass it
Okay.
to
Okay, here I am.
for Mr. Crusoe to respond to. So you have kind of highlighted some of the areas. So what is the most pressing need in our district attorney's office?
Okay, are you talking about what I just spoke about or something else?
Whatever
So let me just tell you this. That was one of the most pressing needs. The Republican is running against us. You know, I'm a Democrat, and I see that Faith Johnson has just announced that she is running for district attorney. So this is almost an exact recreation of the opportunity you had to select a district attorney in 2018. You have John Crusoe, you have Elizabeth Frizzell, and you have Faith Johnson. So Faith Johnson has been the DA. John Crusoe has been the DA. Do you feel safe? Do you feel like the district attorney's office is doing what you want them to do in the way you want them to do it? I want to make sure that I go throughout Dallas County and listen to you and hear how my policies are affecting you. Are the policies working? Do they need to be changed? Do they need to be eliminated? I want to make sure that if your concern is that we are not prosecuting crimes that should be prosecuted because you see repeat offenders. What you've told me is that many times people are coming into these stores and they steal, and you know who they are, and you just have to speak and let them go, because Quick Trip has a policy. You cannot engage that person that's stealing. You cannot stop them. They put the beer right next to the door so they can come and get it, so there's no engagement. That's not fairness. That's not justice. That's one of the most pressing concerns. But we also have to make sure we address police brutality. This DA has not addressed many of the offenses where police have engaged in conduct that even their own supervisors consider misconduct. Tony Timpa. Do you know about the Tony Timpa case? That is the George Floyd of Dallas. You see, Tony Timpa called the police on himself because he was having a mental health episode. He said, please come help me. They came out, they told him to get on his knees, put his hands behind his back, and they held his head down to the grass for 13 minutes until he died. But this DA won't prosecute. That's not fairness, and that's not justice.
Judge Guzzo.
I'm sorry.
Okay. You're supposed to wipe it out. Oh. I got it.
Wait, what?
I got, no, here, I got it.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'm getting that thing open. Sure. Okay, yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I don't know quite how to work. Okay, police won't come out on theft. Let me explain something. I said when I ran for this office that I would be data-driven. I'm going to look at the facts, and I'm going to direct policy around facts, okay? The fact of the matter is this question of feeling safe, yes, you should feel safe, because now that we have a new police chief with new policing policies, which happen to coincide with the same policies I have, that is, stop pulling over our young people, our people of color for traffic tickets, looking for marijuana and guns, and get to the serious stuff. Actually, what has happened is violent crime is going down. All of the statistics on robbery and theft that are given by this city and by this county are going down. When I put these policies into place, the state government called me down. I guess they were going to put me on the spot, so to speak, with this "we don't feel safe" mantra. And they called witnesses. They had 4 witnesses there. They couldn't find one witness who said that any of the policies that I put into place is having an adverse impact on crime, that is, creating crime, okay? It's just not true. Theft cases have been going down for a number of years. The other thing is, let's understand what the policy is. The policy is anything over 100 and less than 750 that deals with food, diapers, or formula. Okay, well, first of all, the first $100 doesn't even get to my office. It stays with the city. And we have looked at this. Actually, the number of those cases are going down. They have been going down. It has nothing to do with me. They've been going down for years. So as far as feeling safe, I think we are safe. We have delivered on our promises. We have taken the criticism, and we've stood firm. As far as Mr. Timpa, go back and look at the file. Go back and look at it. Mr. Timpa was put on the ground by security guards and handcuffed by them. Why? Because he ran out into the street. He was almost hit by a car, and he was trying to climb on a moving DART bus, and the autopsy showed that Mr. Timpa died of a cocaine overdose.
Hold the mic there, Judge. One of the things that we're talking about, criminal crime issues, and for a town like Dallas, a city like Dallas, it appears to me, having been in the news business, that every time the DA's office is mentioned, we're talking about street crime,
Yes.
crime in the hood, so to speak. But you got a public integrity unit.
Yes.
What does it do?
Public-
We find black elected officials targeted, seems like, and clearly they're doing what they think they seen their colleagues do. But we don't see them
Okay.
doing the perp walk.
Well, so that perp walk stuff is usually the U.S. Attorney's Office on black public officials, not the District Attorney's Office. So we, to my knowledge, at least not in my time, have filed any charges against an elected official, any African American, Hispanic elected official. So what you see in that traditionally, if you'll recall, it's usually all federal court, FBI related type stuff. So what does the public integrity section do? Well, it deals with people who are in the public. It could be an elected public official if we have one, that there's some allegation. Somebody has to bring something to us. Sometimes outside agencies call in people and they will investigate the case. But we also deal with officer-involved cases with public officials, whether they be elected or not. And so we do deal with those cases. In fact, speaking of that, as you know, probably most of you know, we've held 2 press conferences in reference to the 2020 protest and the individuals, well, several individuals, more than you know about, actually, who were injured by police officer conduct. Every time we've held a press conference, we've been successful in getting more information, which I cannot discuss. To my knowledge, we're the only district attorney's office, the only prosecutor's office across the United States that has taken this approach. All of my colleagues have told me they have the same problem. People were injured, seriously injured, but they don't know who did it. You say, well, of course, police wear body cams. Not all police, not all circumstances, and we have that here. But what we've done is gone to the public, and we have been very successful in getting additional information that can help us to move forward. We have a little problem. It's called the statute of limitations. That's coming up on May 30th. We're mindful of that, and I've said there's 2 things that are going to stop this investigation from going forward. Either the statute of limitations or we have evidence to present charges, and we will be making some comments on that in the near future.
Thank you. Judge Frizzell, you want to address the Public Integrity Unit and this seeming that DA's office only prosecutes in the hood?
Okay, I agree with Judge DA, keep saying Judge DA Creuzot. Most of the elected officials who are prosecuted are federal. But there were a few officials who were elected officials in the city of Cedar Hill when DA Creuzot first took office, who were engaged in some conduct that people filed a complaint and eventually ended up being indicted by the district attorney's office, and DA Creuzot dismissed the charges. I noticed that was when he first took office, and I think as a district attorney, you have to make sure you can stand up and do what's right. That's why you elect us. Even if sometimes it's difficult to prosecute someone you may know, someone who is your friend, if they're right, they're right. If they're wrong, they're wrong. I want to take the facts and just base my decision on the facts that are in front of me. Those Cedar Hill elected officials ended up being allowed to resign. That is the same thing that we do with many police officers. We let them resign rather than fire them. There are officers who have been even decided by their chief of police that what they did was misconduct, but they don't get fired. They're allowed to resign. Many of them go to other police departments. Some of them right now in specific cases are working in Allen PD. They're in Collin County. They're in Tarrant County. We should make sure we have a way of tracking the officers that have misconduct. Now, I'm not out to just get officers. My brother-in-law is an officer, and we've talked about the tough job that police officers have on the street. They have to arrest robbers, rapists. It's not an easy job. As a judge, I've had a very good working relationship with both officers, my colleagues as judges, all the people that I've worked with. It is important to understand the district attorney's office doesn't just operate by itself. The criminal justice system is made up of defense lawyers, prosecutors, probation officers, judges. There are many different components. I have had a good working relationship with all of the above. That's so important because that's how we get to bail bond reform. There's been nothing done on bail bond reform. And that's a promise that I and my colleague DA Creuzot had made back in 2018. Well, you have to work with the judges, have a good working relationship with the judges to do that, because I don't believe bail bonds should be based on money. Bail bonds should not be based on money. They should be based on the facts of the case, whether a person would return to court to answer for the charges, the same requirements in the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. But we will never be able to accomplish that if we don't have a good working relationship with our judges, with our police department. We have to base it on fact-based hearings. If society cannot be safe, you should not be released. If society can be safe and you will return to answer for your charges, you should be released with whatever conditions the judges set. But the judges set that based on the facts, not based on money. Nothing has happened on bail bond reform, and that's something I will address as your next district attorney.
The delivery of justice, and to you, the delivery of justice should not be a partisan issue either. And we saw during the last legislative session a fairly heavy-handed, I will say interference because I can, with state, from the governor's office, with county affairs. is that dance going? How is that interaction going? And when it's going to be, he's talking about DAs in the blue counties versus his glowing red Texas.
Let me make sure I understand the question. Could you repeat your question?
Okay,
I'm
my
not sure.
question is, it appears to me that the governor of Texas was pretty heavy-handed, particularly around COVID-related issues, in interfering with mandates on masks, running into opposition, and he played pretty heavy-handed, and in fact got legislation in place, and is still suing all across the country. How do we take the politics out of the administration of justice?
That's a good point. Right now in Texas, judges are elected just like politicians are elected. Now, I've been a judge for 20 years of the 29 years I've been practicing criminal law in Texas. Well, some people think judges shouldn't be elected, but that's how it is in Texas. This is one of the states that we have elected judges. I'm running for district attorney. That's obviously elected. It gave me the advantage of already understanding how to put together a campaign from being elected as a judge. But when you say take the politics out of, I guess you're saying the district attorney's office, because Judge Creuzot and I are running for district attorney, it is a political aspect because you have to run as a Democrat or a Republican. The only office you don't have to do that in is if you're running for a city or a municipal court. Now, the mayor doesn't have to say whether he is a Democrat or a Republican. If you're running for city council, you don't have to say whether you're running as a Democrat or a Republican. Anything other than that, you do. But right now, we have a Republican running for district attorney. After I filed for district attorney, we had a Republican run for district attorney as well. So it definitely is a political position. And if we're not careful, we will lose Dallas County's highest criminal position to a Republican. We can't allow that to happen. This is an election that is critical. Sometimes people don't pay attention to these elections when it's not a presidential election. Trump is not on the ballot, so all of a sudden everybody feels safe. Barack Obama is not on the ballot. All of a sudden everybody feels safe. And then we relax and we don't turn out to vote. Do you know how critical your vote is? Some people think, well, one vote won't matter. If I had just gotten one more vote per precinct, this would have made a difference in my election. We had 2,500 ballots under investigation by the sitting district attorney, not the current DA. The previous DA had 2,500 ballots under criminal investigation when I was running for DA. I lost by 589 ballots. They wouldn't release the ballots. These are Democratic people. I asked Clay Jenkins to let me see the ballots. If it didn't make a difference, I'll go away. It was just a close election. That's it. Wouldn't let me see the ballot. So when you talk about politics in the DA's office, we have to make sure it's fair. I'm running for fairness and justice. I'm running for you. Most of you know me. I'm in the community. Ever since I started this race in this DA campaign, you've seen me in your community. Many people have said, where's Judge Creuzot? Has he been in your community? Do you know him? Has he talked to you before I ran for office? You need to know your DA. You need to trust your DA. You need to make sure your district attorney cares about you and not just what I want to do, what you want to see me do. I will start off by listening to you and make sure that I'm fair and impartial and implement the policies that you want to see in your next district attorney.
Judge, thank you. Hand that mic to Judge Creuzot, please. Maybe I wasn't quite as clear, but my original question was the juxtaposition of, again, Democratic justice versus Republican justice. And how do we, there's no such thing, right?
Well, there shouldn't be, but the fact of the matter is that the two different parties have a different idea about how justice should be practiced on the streets by the police, how it ought to be practiced in the courts, and how it ought to be practiced on appeal. And sometimes we get all out of it. I'm going to give you an example of where me being the district attorney has made a difference in criminal justice on a political scale. Myself and several other prosecutors, elected prosecutors across the state, we fought Ken Paxton. We filed a friend of the court brief and beat him. Beat him at what? Prosecuting people of color for election law violations when he didn't have the authority to do so. That was, who ruled on that? A Republican court in Austin. So that's an example of where it does make a difference as the political party, because he needed to be stopped. He didn't have the authority. He knew what he was doing was wrong, and we managed to stop him. That's where collaborative work made a difference. But it's been brought up about Cedar Hill and some indictments. There are no indictments out of Cedar Hill. There never were. There were just Dallas Morning News stories saying that people in Cedar Hill have violated the law. There have been no federal indictments, no state indictments, no complaints to the DA's office or to the U.S. Attorney's office. It's a twisted up story in the Dallas Morning News that had no merit to it, so there was no reason to go forward on it. So there never were any indictments. We talk about bail. We do have bail reform. I'd invite you, no friend of ours, right, the Dallas Morning News, look at the endorsement that they made in this case. We do have bail reform. It doesn't have anything to do with the judges, but it has to do with Dallas County, the DA's office, and working collaboratively and following court orders and actually doing more than what Judge Godbee ordered us to do. We do have effective bail reform. The lawsuit might not be over, but we have bail reform. Go look at the endorsement in this race. They're no friend of ours. They made it clear. Anyway, I think that's all I needed to say. Thank you. Did I answer your question?
That's fair enough. So
Okay.
we're getting on this time crunch now. So
That's fine.
2 minutes for our closing statement, and then to Judge Frizzell.
Okay, thank you. I've been in this community since 1979 when I came here to go to law school. This idea that I haven't been out in the community is, of course, false. In today's world, do we go out in the same way that we did? Of course not. What do? We do it on Zoom. I've been with church groups, civic groups, groups from all over, meeting with city managers, helping them, for example, putting $200,000 into 4 of our cities to help them get an assessment. That's called collaboration. I'm sorry, I don't have to walk down the street to do that, but I did it in meetings with 4 city managers and police departments. We're doing it. What else have we done? Let's talk about legislation, something we don't talk about, the political process. We drafted and sponsored a law called the Richard Miles Act, which for the first time, talk about police reform, it's the only reform bill out this last legislative session that requires what? The police to give us all the evidence and information when they file the case. Never been done before. We did it. How about Bo's Law? We work with Representative Sherman to get that passed, okay? And you can't do it if you're not working collaboratively. We've done the job that we came here to do. Let's talk about the things that we promised to reduce mass incarceration. It is no longer a value of our police departments. It's no longer important to stop our youth and people of color on traffic violations and search their cars. You know why? Because your district attorney won't prosecute the cases. Okay? Turn them down at the door. In fact, we look back. It's been said that we have been. No, we haven't. I had the county clerk look it up. We had 280 or so total cases. We didn't say every case. There's certain exceptions we will take. In 2 years, 280 cases total filed, and those cases are on the way to being resolved. We have done our job. We're working on mass supervision. We have kept all our promises, and thank you for your support. I look forward to seeing you soon, perhaps under better circumstances than COVID-19. Did you get it? They claimed you opened it up wrong.
All right, let me wipe this back.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, I have 2 minutes. My clock wasn't working a minute ago. I think it's working now. I'm Judge Elizabeth Davis Frizzell. I have many sorors of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority who came to me and said they wouldn't vote anymore. You thought I had been cheated. It was so close. They waited till 7 days after the election to announce who won. I'm here to tell you, I need you to vote. Don't worry about that. That was the previous election. I need you to vote. This is the recount. Many of you asked me, why didn't you do a recount? You got 49.999% of the vote. It was so close. You should have done a recount. A recount doesn't make much difference. You can't challenge a ballot on a recount. You can only literally recount the numbers. If you know you want a better DA for a better Dallas, here I am. Faith Johnson had a chance. DA Creuzot had a chance. Here I am. I need you to vote. I need my Divine Nine, my Deltas, my Alphas, Kappas, Omegas. I'm a graduate of Prairie View A&M University, and I'm a graduate of Thurgood Marshall School of Law. Thurgood Marshall produces productive people, and so does Prairie View A&M University. Look, I am here because I'm a part of you, because I care about you. I had a great position as a criminal district court judge hearing cases from 5 years to 99 years of life. I could have stayed there. I didn't have an opponent on either side. I gave up my bench to do this because I care about you and I care about justice. And I want to make sure you are accessible to me and I'm accessible to you. We can do this. We can win this. We can have better justice in this DA's office. If you don't feel safe, if you don't feel comfortable with the policies not to prosecute 4 pages of different offenses, if you don't feel comfortable that you can't call the police and know that they'll show up and address your concerns, it's time for a change. We can do better in the DA's office. We can have excellence in the DA's office. We can excel with Judge Elizabeth Frizzell.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Where? Thank you. Okay, good to see you. Good to see you, sir. Take care of yourself. Good to see you, man.
Yep.